Our third piece that we're going to do is an origami rose. I love the rose because it's a small piece. It's folded with a 4x4 piece of paper, and you can choose any color to accentuate the gift giving. I love the rose because you could put it inside the matsu box. A lot of people don't expect a gift when they open a box, but when they see that rose inside there, it just makes their day. So the next origami we're going to make is a flower, is a rose. Now you're probably wondering, again, man, this guy, he's killing me. Why is a meat eater like him a knuckle dragger making flowers? Well, I'll tell you, my wife inspired me. I came home one day and she had my origami kit sitting on her bed, and she was making different things. So she made me a flower, and it was so beautiful and so meaningful to me. I said, I want to make her a flower. And I learned how to make different flowers. I make a lotus, I make lilies, I make tulips. I love making the rose because, as you saw earlier, you can put that rose in that matsu box and give it to a gift. And it doesn't have to be a female. Like, you can give it to a male friend or anything like that, because it doesn't matter, because it's a gift coming from your heart. So I like using the smaller paper, the 4x4 paper, as opposed to the 6x6. But the other day, accidentally, I actually folded an origami rose using out of the 6x6 paper. But I like using the smaller paper, but it doesn't make a difference. Here again, you can use the floral pattern, you can use a standard pattern. I like using the standard pattern, but I have made some out of different colors. If you do go on Amazon and buy your paper, you'll find specific paper just for flowers, depending on the flower. And you could do that. That's like so cool, because when I was making lotuses, I found different paper that had different texture. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can make a black and white lotus with a white petals on it. I mean, so yeah, I took off on a tangent making flowers, and I love doing this because it's a great gift, and also it's a great calming mechanism for myself. Ladies at AFW2, staff members, will more than likely see something like this on their desk for Christmas. Here again, I don't have to buy expensive gifts. I made this by myself. Sometimes I have to tell them, yeah, I made it. No, my wife didn't, I made it. And that means more to them because Armando made the gift for them, and I didn't have to spend any real money, so to say. And I'm not obligated to do anything. I just do it as a act of kindness for our staff members and warriors too. I've made a lot of different events and just give them randomly to warriors. So here's what we're going to do. Just stand with your 4x4 paper, and this is pretty easy. Just, you can crank these out, you know, I mean, but you should never be in a hurry, because it is smaller paper. I do have to pick it up and make sure that I have my corners aligned. Press it down, make that crease. Use your tool if you want. Here again, this is a bookbinding tool. You can use a tongue depressor, you can use a pen or pencil. And I think the other day I was talking to my grandchildren and they say, well, Grandpa, why are you always using a tool? I said, because the other day I had chapstick on my hand and I was folding a butterfly, and a butterfly is really technical, and I had chapstick all over it. And I'm like, man, so I need to really stop using chapstick as much and use a tool or something. So we folded it this way once. Now we're going to fold it the opposite way. And here's going to be a critical move that I really want to emphasize, because when you fold it together, it's going to be really important. So remember, now you folded it this way and you folded it this way, okay? Now you're going to flip the paper over, and this is important. When you flip it over, now you're going to make two triangle moves. It's going to be easier to come together. Here again, you may have to pick it up. It's easier to bring together when you make this one triangle move. When you flip the paper over, you could still do it, but you don't have to. And then now that you folded it that way, you're going to make a triangle fold just the opposite way. Here again, I have to pick it up so I can see. And notice I'm just taking my time, joining the corners, being mindful of my here and now, listening to the music in the background, watching TV, just relaxing, and just putting all my stressors behind me. So here again, just to recap, we had it this way. We folded in the middle. We folded it the opposite way. We flipped the paper over. We did one triangle this way. We did one triangle that way. So this is why we flipped it over, because what's going to happen is you want this pyramid shaped looking guy right here to stand out. Okay, so what I do is I grab the ends. You see how it just came together? Had you not flipped it over, you'll be struggling to get these things together. So we want this pyramid right here, and we want to do is bring it together. Look at how easy that was. Like I said, if you did flip the paper over, you'd be struggling to get this pyramid. And this is what you want. You want an opening there, and you want an opening there. So what I do now is I crease it one more time and make sure I have a good, solid crease. Just take your time doing this thing. And you see this line in the middle that you made earlier? What you're going to do is lift this corner and bring it all the way up till the very peak. See that? And you're going to do the same thing to the opposite. Get this corner right here and pick it up. So you know what you could be doing when you're doing this, and if you're going to use them as gifts, is think about the person that you're going to be making it for. And a lot of us, randomly when we talk, we communicate with other people, we ask them things like, so what's your favorite color? Or you could actually be doing that before. What's your favorite color? And make that color of rose for that individual. So you saw that right there. You're going to flip it over and do the exact same thing. I randomly ask people, you wear a lot of yellow. Well, yellow's my favorite color. So I already know now what color of flower I'm going to be making that individual. And the same thing with the men too. I make kimonos and I make dogs and cats and stuff like that. And you bring this other end straight up. So here's what we got. Remember that? We brought this end up, we brought this end up. And you have the same exact thing on the opposite end. So knowing people, favorite colors, being personal with individuals about asking them those things, likes, dislikes, things like that, really means a whole lot, especially during this season. So now what you're going to do is bring this end up, and this is the end that you crease. And I struggle with this sometimes. Sometimes I got to use a toothpick or something, and I just have one right here, because you have to open this end up. So you could use anything, and those of you that have that finesse just to jam your finger inside there, and what you're going to do is open that pocket up, and you're going to bring this end of the pocket all the way down to this end right here, and it's going to be forming just like that. And here again, squash it down, use your tool, and open this side. And you see how fine it is because you creased it so much? You might need that toothpick to get inside there. And just open it up just like that. And do the same thing again. Just bring it down. And guess what? What you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. There you go. Flip it over and do the same thing. Sometimes I could use my fingernail to get in there. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I have to use my tool to open that up. And you're going to bring that in, back down. Yeah, knowing people's favorite color and things like that, I think that goes a long way. Oh, you remember we were talking about, and if you're hanging out somewhere, you happen to pass a flower shop, you could always say, hey, so what's your favorite flower? And that challenges you to make a flower, right? Here again, open this up. And different flowers have different meanings. So, keep that in mind too. So if you make a tulip, if you make a lotus, look at the legend of the lotus and look at the legend of the tulip. And that might be something that you want to use with somebody else because they're a thing of beauty, growing in dark times or whatever. And what you now have is this tent-shaped looking thing here. So what's going to happen now is you're going to take this top piece and bring it right over. It almost looks like an envelope. And what I do is I use my tool because it's important at this point right here to have a really kind of firm lines. And what I do is I flip it over also and make the crease both ways. My friend Sarah Osborne does that with all her origami projects, and she creases on both sides, and I'm like, don't do that. And I realized that when she does that, she has a more sharper fold than I do, and you learn from a lot of people. Now it doesn't make a difference whether it's down or whether it's up. What's important now is that you face it straight up and you have these openings like this, okay? So once again, you folded this piece over and you did both in. Now you're gonna turn it this way. And this is my challenge because if you lose control of this, it kind of gets really confusing and you forget what you're doing. So you see what I'm trying to do is I'm opening the envelope pieces of it, and I love, at this point right here, I have no distraction. I am focusing on this because if I lose step of this, I have to start over. But then again, that's me because you see how I want to open on you? So you have to keep control of it. So when you have that pouch open like that, now what you're gonna do is take this corner and bring it down here. And like I said, there's music playing in the background. I'm relaxed. I'm sitting here in my lounge chair, just hanging out, thinking about different things, not thinking about work. And then, so what I did is I brought that in down and I smashed it down there. And so you're gonna do the same thing. When you have one down, the other one is a lot easier to work with. you bring that one down. And sometimes this piece right here wants to fight you, but that's okay. And just kind of take your time, relax, listen to the music, and push that down. So here's what basically you have is both ends sitting there, and you can crease it down again. So now the edge, the side that you were working with, you're going to flip it over, right? And remember that little envelope fold that you had? You're going to lift him up. And don't worry about if it's wrinkled down here. Have you ever seen a straight rose that looks perfect? So the wrinkles are good, okay? So now that you folded that up, what you're going to do is you're going to open this. And sometimes, like I said, you have to use your tool, and you're going to open the opposite end. And if you don't want to use the small flower 4x4, use the big ones. Use the 6x6. You could use any size of paper. It comes all the way up into 10x10. We received a whole bunch of paper the other day from awards. You know, the backing of it is a really beautiful blue paper, and I saw it in the trash can. I got it. I collected it, and what I did is I took my time one day to cut it. And now I have this beautiful blue paper. So here I did I opened both of those up. And here's the fun part, especially for you guys who used to go around twisting people's ears and stuff like that, is now grab it with your index finger and your thumb, the piece that you opened. I grab mine really, really low, and I kind of put it in my palm, and what I do is I twist. Just twist, and twist again. Try not to tear it. As you're twisting, you're also raising your fingers, letting them slide up. And basically what you did is you twisted a rose. Now to make it a little prettier, a little nicer, what I do is I use a toothpick, and I get these corners, and what I do is I roll it down. And I like doing this piece of it because, you know, I'm thinking about the individual who's going to receive this. And I'm like, you know, the person is such a nice person, such a giving soul, and I try to make it as awesome as possible. And I roll that piece. Here again, I'm just using a regular toothpick. And I roll this down, just focusing and meditating and listening to the sounds and relaxing. It's all about mindfulness, the here and now. I call it mindfulness. And pick a flower, pick a color, something that attracts you, just like that friend that you're going to give this to. There's probably some energy there, which is good. And what you want to do, if you have to go back, is just dress it up a little bit more and turn it, and you can turn it again, and you can make these creases in here a little bit sharper if you have to. But there's your origami rose.